Welcome.
Bonjour.
Vous écoutez le podcast Dirty Feet sur les ondes de No More Radio.
You're listening to the Dirty Feet podcast on the No More Radio Network.
Nous sommes vos animateurs,
Et animatrices.
We are your hosts, Allison Burns
JD Papillon.
Et Stéphanie Morin-Robert.
Listen in.
Écoutez.
We're gonna move you.
All right, this is Allison here for another episode of Dirty Feet, and this week we're going to take a little bit of a meander off of the contemporary dance treaded road and wander into theater a little bit. Currently playing at the Segal Centre for Performing Arts is a show called Tribes, and I'm sitting down with two of the actors from the show, Toni and Greg Ellwand. Thank you very much for joining me.
Oh, thank you.
Our pleasure.
So, first of all, the show itself is about a family in which you play man and wife and the parents of these three kids. And it's a very colorful family of people that don't necessarily do a good job of listening to each other. Does that sound about right?
It's a play rife with language.
Yeah.
Colorful language.
And another big element of the production is that the lead character and also the actor who plays him is a deaf individual, and kind of that extra layer on communication problems. So you've had the opportunity to learn a little ASL during this production, which is the American Sign Language.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm curious about this and about how that has been as an experience to bring that into your theatrical practice.
Well, I think it's been an absolutely extraordinary experience. You know, to my shame, I haven't really been around deaf people much in my life.
Same here.
And this is really my first experience of being so close and over an extended period of time with someone who is deaf. And it's like Jack is just one of my top 10 Canadians. He's an extraordinary person.
He is.
And he really is kind of the leader of our group. And it has me reflect often on what I may have been like had I been born deaf and in my little town in Western Quebec. What would life have been like for me? And I just don't know if I would have fared quite as well as Jack, who's very, very proud of being deaf. Yeah. And he says it's made him everything that he is, and he's an extraordinary guy.
Yeah, and we just met his family, and they don't sign. So in today's show, he was, he's always emotional and great, but today I could just feel it just rippling off his body. And they're lovely. I mean, they get on really well, but they don't sign. So I'm sure he must have felt it when he was doing that scene with us, scene 7, when he tells his family he's not going to speak anymore.
So this is Jack Volpe, of course, that we're talking about,
yes,
who's playing the lead, Billy,
yes,
in the show. And we're talking about those parallels, of course, between the character and the actor, because the family in this play doesn't sign.
That's right.
And has forced their deaf son into kind of the hearing world, and he discovers sign language and discovers that other way of communicating.
A whole new way of communicating, which is incredible. I mean, it is like a dance with the hands, really. The fingers and the facial expressions and the physical movement that it makes the body do. It's so expressive.
Faced with the prospect of sharing a dressing room with him and not being able to communicate, I have been looking at the internet, and I follow Dr. Bill Vickers' classes on the internet. It's called lifetime.com. I think maybe not Lifetime. Oh, yeah, it just escapes me the actual thing. But he's got courses set up. I can see there's 26 classes or something. I'm at number 6 now, but
they're ASL courses.
Yeah, that's
what they are. So if you Google ASL courses, you probably will get who Greg's referring to.
Life Print, that's what it's called, Life Print. I just needed that little moment to think. And so, I'm learning, and I can say, how have you been? What did you do today? I can tell little stories about what I have done today. And, but it's an extraordinary language. It's so beautiful to watch.
It's physical and it's visual. And actually, I have found that it's harder for me. Greg's also an artist. Like, he draws and stuff like that. And I think because he has such an eye from his artwork, he seems to be able to pick it up a lot faster than I do. Because Billy will give us, Billy, I'm getting him confused, Jack, the actor, will give us little suggestions or hints on how to say things. And I can't really keep it straight in my head. They don't really stay quite as well. Whereas Greg, he'll just, he'll figure out that when you put your hand to your head and you do a cap formation with your hands, that's man. But I just, like, it takes me so long to think, cap, man. Is that right?
Yeah, our boy. Anyway, a male thing. Anyway, you're kind of grabbing the cap, the peak of your cap. That'll be something male, and then you put it down like a baby rocking, and that's your son.
But he remembered it right away, whereas me, it's just like I had to go over it and over it a few times to have it in my head.
And I just find so many of the signs so intuitive. The scooping up some invisible substance from your palm of your hand and putting it in your head. That's learning. It seems good, obvious.
Or the one where you grab the something from your heart,
the feeling.
And you go feeling. That's intuitive.
That's
too.
I like if you drag something from your chest. That's feeling. That's like. I mean, feeling is like tickling your chest with your middle finger.
This is like when you pull it out of your heart. So
that's right. Yeah.
I'm wondering how this parallels your lives as actors. I mean, there's so much expressiveness in acting. There's so much physicality, reading body language as well as expressing body language. And sign language is very gestural, but there's also so much about expression and what you're doing with your face to also communicate what you're trying to say. So I'm wondering if you can see anything in your career that's kind of helped this process, or vice versa. Do you feel like you can take something away from this new knowledge that's going to help with acting?
Well, I certainly have a greater awareness of what it's like to express yourself without hearing and without speaking. Just from the experience of meeting Jack and working with Jack. That's just brought it to a whole other level. Yeah,
for me, I can't actually say that I sort of work like that as an actor. I can't. You have to kind of marry the idea as an actor. You have to marry the idea of what the character wants and how the character is receiving the information and putting it through, sort of processing it through where the character is at the moment, and trying to let how you react just bubble up out of you spontaneously like that in the moment that you're right there on stage. So I don't really see that the signing movements or anything, the dance of the play with the hands and the face will really apply to my acting work.
Speaking of process, because the two of you are married and you're playing a married couple in this production, as far as I understand, this is not the first time that you've worked together on stage as well. Yeah. How do your processes align? Do you have very different ways of approaching a job, and or do you find that you work very similarly?
I think the best thing about working together is that we can go home and discuss what we've done or what we want to do, and we can just be really forthright with each other, which may not necessarily be polite at times. Whereas if you're working with somebody you don't know, you sort of have to deke around, or you have to find more politic way of trying to get what you want, basically.
So you have very honest reactions to each other's work.
Yeah, I would say so. What do you think, Greg?
I think it's really great working with Toni. we've had the opportunity before. Sometimes we make our opportunity because we don't get the opportunities, in established theaters. So we'll try to find a play and we'll produce it and put it on ourselves. And it's always great because I find that Toni always pushes me very hard, and she's always asking those annoying questions that make me think harder and deeper. And there's also some kind of sense of incivility about our working together, which is quite releasing as well. So, it is not appropriate ever to ask an actor to do something just because it serves your character. But because we're married, we can kind of throw civility out the window sometimes. And, you can say, could you just wait that split second while I look over here because it would really help this moment? Or if you could just hang on for 1 second.
Sometimes we fight about that. And I'll just say, no, I won't effing wait.
Oh, and the fights are just fantastic. I mean, they're like food. Like even in this play, we've gone home and we have I wish sometimes there'd been somebody with a video camera or something, because we just go at each other hammer and tong. But we're married, so what can you do? Yeah,
it's all right.
It's only really, we go at each other hammer and tong, but it's only ever to really get the best out of each other, and it's so much fun. So I love it.
Forgive this if it's a naive question, but then you've also spoken about such respect for Jack in this production, and this play is what was the word you used? The language is very.
It's a play rife with language.
Rife with language. Yeah. It's a bit crude.
Yeah.
And you're not always nice to each other on stage.
No.
And how do you deal with that?
Oh, we love it. My sister-in-law was there last night, and she said her favorite line was when my character told Christopher to shut up.
And I'm Christopher.
She loved that. She kept saying that all night. Shut up. So, we enjoy it. It's an opportunity to be really nasty to each other on stage, eh?
Yeah.
And without really hurting each other's feelings, because it's just acting.
And I don't know why I've been playing so many assholes.
Oh, no, you're good
but
at
I
it,
do play a
darling.
lot of assholes.
You're very good at it.
I was here once in Cabaret, and I played a Nazi sympathizer. And what was really great about the part was that when you first meet the character on stage, you don't know any of his history. And he's got to be very friendly and very avuncular, and I've got to win the confidence of the other of the character, the lead character in Cabaret. But also at the same time, I'm also getting the confidence of the audience on my side, so they like me. They like the character. I'm the English teacher, and I meet the young man on the train, and then I offer him English lessons, and I go over to his apartment, and I'm full of jokes and good humor and everything like that. And the audience is liking me until we go to this bar, and I take off my coat, and I'm wearing a swastika on my shoulder, and the audience it's such a reversal of expectation for them, and they feel like their trust has been shattered. And I used to get comments like, you were great, we hated you.
Yeah, and they people still say that about this one. Oh, you make a good bastard. Yeah.
But playing nasty people is sometimes fun because it gets a rise out of people. So.
Yes. And I have to play the Miss Stoic, the tough mother, trying to deal with all these dysfunctional kids and this husband. It's fun.
Yeah, and apart from the ASL introduction and the working with a deaf actor, this is a British play. It was written in 2010 by Nina Raine, and it's had a whirlwind of popularity for the past few years. And I'm wondering if you could speak at all to what this play means to you.
Well, it's so. I just, when I read it, I just loved it. It's so dense, and it's got so many layers. And I had to read it about I don't know how many times, 4 or 5 times, and I'm still sort of gleaning different things about what she's trying to say about the family and about the interrelationships and about their need and about the love and the lack of love and the sort of I guess the repercussions of having to deal with a child who's deaf in a hearing world. I mean, for my character, when I say, but Billy, look at it from our point of view, and he says, no, you look at it from mine. I always think, and I'm going into the English accent now because it comes automatically. I always think, I was there with 3 kids, 2 years apart, and one of them is deaf. The husband's working all the time. What am I going to do? So if the kid pretends or says he doesn't want to learn sign, it's so much easier for me because I've got these other kids. I'm so busy. I'm stressed. So that's how, and she layers that in very subtly, with just that one line. And then I think, yeah, of course, as a mother, I can understand that completely. So those are the types of things that she just throws into the entire play, and they're like little nuggets that you have to sort of go through and discover and find, and they just rise to the surface.
Well, I'm not an English professor. I'm not a writer. I don't write critical essays like my character Christopher does. I'm just an actor, and this is the medium that I try to use to pull apart to show the audience some of the jewels that are there once you've lifted the top of the box. So it is there's a lot of jewels in this box, and there's themes about the family building walls around themselves, or groups, not necessarily families, groups of people who build walls around themselves and become exclusionary and don't want the outside world to come in. And that's Christopher.
They don't mean to.
And his family.
It's not that they mean to be exclusive. It's just that, Christopher's the head of the family, and he's got a very focused idea of their sort of political and social and moral life world view. And I'm his wife, and in essence, I agree with with the way he views the world, because otherwise I wouldn't be married to him. But the problem is that in the end, it does become exclusive. For sort of being a person who prides himself on not being religious and on not believing in things and on not laughing at George Bush, because if you do, you're stupid and all that stuff. In a way, it's uber liberalism, but in another way, it creates another kind of exclusivity, which, the character of Billy brings up when he says, we're our own tribe, but if we don't include anybody who doesn't like Dvorak and stuff like that. So we've done the very thing that he doesn't want to do. So we're just sort of got pie on our face, really, these people. And it's just it's so fantastic how she weaves that in, how she creates that in the warp and weft of the writing of the play.
Last year, this production was done in French here in Montreal by La Licorne, and we haven't touched that necessarily. Do you find that there's because the heavy communication aspect of the play, is there some intrigue about presenting this show in Montreal and presenting it in one language and then the next? Have you thought about that
I don't know.
relationship at all with a bilingual city?
I didn't see that production. Like how?
Just the idea that this show is being done here. Mm-hmm. It's been done several places in New York and Toronto and England, but is there some extra layer about it being in a bilingual city, being produced here?
Well, I hadn't thought about that. That's a very interesting question. I'm not sure. Just because of communication, is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, how you communicate. Well, absolutely, it makes total sense.
And miscommunication.
And miscommunication, yes. Yeah. And not understanding what people are trying to say. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Good point. I think you have to see the show and you have to have a think about it because it's quite dense. And you can't just sort of let it wash over you. You have to really consider what you just saw. That's the type of show it is. That's all.
Wonderful. We'll have a great time with the rest of your run. It's playing here at the Segal Centre for Performing Arts until the 20th of December. It's called Tribes by Nina Raine, and I've been speaking with Greg and Toni Ellwand. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The Dirty Feet podcast is produced and hosted by
Produit et animé par
Allison Burns,
JD Papillon,
et Stéphanie Morin-Robert.
We have Mainline Theatre, Montreal Improv Theatre, and Paul Aflalo to thank.
Merci pour le soutien.
Vous pouvez visiter notre site web, écouter les derniers épisodes, lire notre blog, nous aimer sur Facebook et nous suivre sur Twitter.
You can visit our website, listen to past episodes, read our blog, like us on Facebook, and follow us on Twitter.
Show us some love and help us spread the word.
Montrez-nous un peu d'amour et aidez-nous à passer le mot.